Hi, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. Today I thought I would do the Booktube Newbie Tag so you can get to know me just a little bit, and I'll get started right anyway. Number one, why did you start this channel? I've been watching Booktube just a few months now, really, and I'm so obsessed with watching Booktube. It's kind of ridiculous right now. So I thought I might as well try it myself. One of my older friends on Library Thing. I've been on Library Thing for over a decade. But Sharon Goforth, who has her own channel here, hi Sharon, I saw that she had a channel and I thought, oh my, I saw her name and I thought, hey, I know that person. So I thought, well, if Sharon can do it and I know Sharon, I can do this too. So here we go. Thanks, Sharon, for unknowingly inspiring me to do this. It's been kind of a little fun thing to do. Okay, number two, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I tend to read a lot of backlist. Don't get me wrong, I buy a lot of new books. I am a member of Book of the Month Club. Every time I join some kind of new bookish something, when I join Library Thing, when I join Litzy, for example. By the way, my name at both of those places is Laura Brooke, no E at the end of Brooke. I sort of got a little crazy and I would buy books like crazy. I mean, my Amazon wish list is ridiculously long, full of books. So when I started watching more BookTube, I just did the same thing. I didn't buy as much, which my wallet was very thankful for. But I make a lot of lists. I've been checking out more books from the library. So what can I bring to BookTube? Well, let's talk about new stuff. So I like to shop used bookstores a lot, and every month my library has a book sale. It's the second Saturday of every month. They tend to rotate stock very well. It's always pretty popular, but a good example of something I like to read that I don't think anyone has heard about and or read before is this, which is Nelly Custis's Diary by Miriam and Bourne. Nelly Custis was a real little girl. I believe her father worked with George Washington, so it's, the beginning of the country, that kind of thing. It's illustrated, it's epistolary, which, I mean, come on, I love epistolary books. So just a funny little unusual book that's based on a real person. I'm sure this is just one printing. This is printed in the 60s or 70s, but I like reading stuff like this, little quirky things that, I don't see anyone else reading. I don't know anyone else who would read it in real life. A lot of my friends are readers, but they would never read stuff like this. So I'm hoping that maybe someone will have heard of these random books that I find places and end up reading vintage fiction and things, and we can have a little chat about stuff. Question number three, what are you most excited about regarding this channel? Really just making some more bookish friends and building a nice little community of readers. I've got to make sure I check comments regularly because I'm not great at keeping up with computer stuff, but I really just want to make some new bookish friends and have good talks and discussions and make all of our, book wish lists a million miles long. But it doesn't take much, I know. But number four, why do you love reading? I mean, how can you not love reading? I don't get people that don't read. I mean, right? What do you do with yourself? How do you function? How do you live? I don't know. Reading is like breathing. It's everything. You learn so much, and not just facts necessarily, or something about history or someone's real life, but you learn so much emotional intelligence from reading books, regardless of genre or what age you are, what age the book is. It just doesn't matter. You learn so much and you can relate to people so much more. You have so much more understanding and empathy. I think reading is just the greatest gift anyone can give to themselves. It's just wonderful. I love it so much. Number five, what book or series got you into reading? My mom was and is a near constant reader. My dad read in his own way. He was dyslexic, but he was a really smart guy and could fix anything. And he would read technical books like engine repair or woodworking patterns or stuff like that. So he was always reading too in a little different way than like I read myself. That stuff, don't understand it at all. But she was really the one that kept me into reading. My grandparents, my mom's parents, we were closer to than my dad's parents, but such huge readers too. I mean, there were the bookshelves in my living room, which I'll show you guys eventually. My grandfather put those up when they moved into the house. They moved in the house in the late 30s when the house was built, shortly after it was built. And I think he put them up within the first year of them being in the house. So I've had these shelves on my living room walls. They've been there forever. So the one book I remember the most from my childhood, which is such like a schmaltzy, heartwarming, cheesy memory, is every summer we would check out Caddie Woodlawn, A Pioneer's Tale by Ryrie Brink. We would read it. My mom would read it out loud to me in our backyard underneath the apple tree. So we'd sit outside on hot summer days and eat pears off the tree and apples off the tree, and she would read a chapter or two to me in the afternoon. It was just so wonderful. This book is set in the Wisconsin frontier in the pioneer days. Caddie was, I think, probably the same age or close to the age I was when we probably stopped reading the book, maybe like 10 or 11, 5th or 6th grade. She probably stopped the tradition, but and she has friends in the town and hangs out with a lot of adults, but there are also a lot of Native Americans there too. And we would also talk not only about the story, the pioneer story, and what being a girl must have been like back then. We talked about the mistreatment of Native Americans. We'd learn about different tribes. I would ask her questions about that. A member of our family married into a Native American family, so we could look up their tribe information, and we talked about how wrong it is to treat anyone that way, but especially Native Americans, and here's why. So it wasn't just this nice pioneer story, ooh, you know, whatever. It was also educational too. And I really appreciate that my parents, my mom especially, just automatically did, okay, this is interesting, that's right, here's what is not right about this now, or this is why this is offensive or whatever. So this is one that has stayed with me for a long time. And yeah, I haven't reread it since I was a kid. I'm a little nervous too. I don't know how well it's aged, but that was a big memory when I was a kid. Also, like most kids, maybe kind of my age and stuff, Roald Dahl was big, huge. So this is my copy of Matilda. I so related to Matilda when I was a kid. And I loved any book at all by John Bellairs. I don't hear anyone talk about him at all. I saw one interview with Kat Dennings, the actress, a few years ago, talking about how she loves John Bellairs and she rereads his series still regularly because she still thinks they're awesome. That made me so happy because I love these books so much. They're always a little bit gothic. There's, you know, ghosts or a haunting or a mysterious figure lurking in a cemetery or whatever. Plus Edward Gorey covers. I mean, come on, I love Edward Gorey still, and it's a lot because of this. And of course, the Masterpiece Mystery theme song from the 80s, which, you know, remember that? Okay. Anyways, so yeah, those are some big, like, bookish things from when I was a kid. Number 6, what question would you ask your favorite booktubers? What are you reading now? Where do you like to shop? And I think that would be enough to talk for hours. Question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be most difficult to overcome? Aside from not buying every book that you guys talk about, which is always difficult to resist, it's totally technical stuff. I've been a massage therapist for almost 13 years now. I don't use a computer for work. I have not used a computer regularly in 13 years, aside from book shopping, let's be honest, or like looking things up online. I don't do anything with any kind of programs, or I don't know anything. It's all book stuff, shopping and talking about books. That's what I use my computer for. So all the technical stuff. I mean, stuff has changed so much year to year just with phone technology and computer stuff too. It's just so different. Like, when was this a thing? This bothers me like crazy. So hang on for a second while I have a little mini rant. Who decided and when did we stop doing 2 spaces between sentences when you're typing? I learned to type in the 90s, and you hit your period or whatever and you space twice and then you start your next sentence. And suddenly at some point in the last, I don't know, 7 years, probably earlier than that, it was just 1 space. Like, I missed that totally. How did that, why? weird. I don't know. So I miss a lot of really obvious stuff like that. So for sure, the technological stuff is going to be my biggest challenge. Honey pea. Okay, number 8. When did you start reading? The first book I read by myself was The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. I was in kindergarten, and it was like magic learning how to read on my own. So that was just amazing. Again, I always read to my whole life, but that was the first book I read on my own, and I have been nonstop ever since. Book number 9, where do you read? I mostly read at home, either on the couch or in the recliner. I used to have a bit more of a commute to work. Now it's 10 to 15 minutes with traffic, so what's the point of firing up an audiobook for that short little amount? But I mostly just read at home. Sometimes at work between clients, if I have the chance, or there's like 20 minutes, enough time for me to really get into the book that I'm reading, there's always a physical book in my purse. So I've got something on me at all times, but yeah, it's mostly at home, chair or couch. And number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? I like to read almost any kind of book, really. I'm not big into Christian fiction. I'm not big into sports by any means. Nothing about politics, president's history, stuff like that. That's different. I have no problem with that, but anything kind of current, I get too angry and then I can't. And business books too. I know there are probably some good ones I would maybe enjoy out there now, but I just can't get into it. But other than that, nonfiction, hell yes. Fiction, yep. Mystery, for sure. A newer genre I got into the last maybe 2 years is romance. I never read it when I was a kid. I tried reading one once when I was probably 6th or 7th grade. I was, of course, into V.C. Andrews like any normal girl was, because, right? My God. The Heaven series? Please. Anyways, so I thought maybe I'll read a romance novel now. I can try that, because if I'm reading about all this stuff like, you know, teenagers sleeping around and incest and spooky stuff and murders and stuff, ooh, maybe I'll try romance. I might like that. And I just couldn't get into it then. So I was trying to expand my reading genres and trying to expand my reading life a couple of years ago. And on Library Thing, I asked a few people, you know, do they have authors they recommend, somewhere to start? And I got some good recommendations from people there. So that's a newer genre I just started reading recently. There's more I don't like than what I like so far. I haven't read a ton. There are so many subgenres of romance. It's crazy. But I mostly like Sarah McLean, and I like Eloisa James. I've got some Cat Sebastian on my list too, and I think those look really good too. So yeah, romance is kind of new, but I have a few examples of stuff I like to read. So I have insomnia, problems sleeping in general, getting to sleep and then waking up later and then not being able to go back to sleep, aside from just general insomnia. So mysteries is one of my favorite genres. I read that probably the most out of anything. And I read a lot of cozies. So Charlaine Harris is one that I read a lot of. This is the third in her, oh gosh, what is this series? Not that it matters necessarily. Harper Connolly series. She can talk to dead people. So I started reading her Sookie Stackhouse / True Blood series when my dad was first diagnosed with cancer this last time, right before he passed away. So I needed something that would pull me in and keep me reading and take me out of the grief and take me out of my life, because it was so horrible. And then a month after my dad died, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. I'm an only child, and there's no real family around, so I had to care for my mom shortly afterwards too, which was a lot. We're still dealing with this stuff now. She's cancer-free. She's doing really well. But we had a lot of family death and family long-term illnesses in between now and 6 years ago when my dad passed away. So I have been reading more and more cozies at night and during the day too, because they are enough to keep me in the story, keep me out of my head, keep me interested in following something that is not depressing, that is not totally horrifying, that's not like murdery, bloody, or like dealing with too many a-holes or whatever. So I read a lot of cozy, but I also read regular mystery too. And Louise Penny, man, this series, this Becca Gamache series, is so effing good. I cannot believe it. The first book or two I didn't like as much. I still liked them, but she just gets better and better. And I love Armand Gamache so much. Of course, I Want to Live in Three Pines. I relate hardcore to Myrna and Ruth. I mean, I love this series. So yeah, really, really recommend that. I also like epistolary novels, like I said, and I like classics. I am a huge Anglophile in life, always have been. In my head, I am British. I realize I am very much an American, but in my head, I'm British. I just am. So a good example of epistolary British kind of classic, A Writer's Diary by Virginia Woolf. She's fabulous. I love it. I have not read this yet, but we'll get around to it eventually. You know, isn't that what everyone says all the time? And Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy, one of my other favorites. So depressing, as my friend Richard would call it, two hankies and a pistol kind of depressing, but so good. I have been in a classics book group, real life book group, for over 15 years. We don't meet that much anymore because we're all kind of scattered and adults and stuff, but I picked this up as one of my monthly picks and just like fell in again with Hardy and all this stuff. And then one of my favorite books, I also like reading a lot of memoirs, autobiographies, biographies, but this is my favorite books from last year when I read it. Sarah Millican Champion. I think she's great. She's so funny. I want to be her friend. I think we could be friends. We have great taste in music. But I just love this. This was such a pleasure and a joy to read. I also liked Susan Calman's book, The Crab of Hate. I think she's very funny too. So anyways, just some stuff that I like. So thank you for watching this 16+ minute ramble that I did. I hope that you like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Tell me if you've read any of these books I mentioned or anything at all. If you have a reference to like a good YouTube link on how to like basic YouTube stuff, let me know. I have watched hours and hours of these things, and all I've seen is really stuff that's very quick, and it's for like influencer people, which I'm not. Are you kidding? No way. Face for radio. And I just need like real basic stuff. So if you have a really good reference, if you could leave me a link to that, I would super appreciate it, because I am just coming up empty and I'm kind of banging my head on the wall. Anyways, so thank you again for watching. Shutting up now. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.